Welcome dear students. I am Mr. Amol Handore, working as an assistant professor at Department of Zoology, KTHM College, Nasik. I am dealing with the subject animal ecology, and in previous lectures we have studied the basic components and the aspects of ecosystem. In today's lecture we are going to deal with the next topic, that is introduction to food chain and food web. Let's take a brief recap of previous lecture. So in last lecture we have studied introduction to the desert ecosystem. So what is meant by a desert ecosystem, what are the basic features, and then we studied the different types of desert ecosystem. And finally we concluded with different biotic and abiotic factors which are present in a typical desert ecosystem. So session agenda for today's lecture will be introduction to the food chain, then we will study different types of food chains. Then we will look at the different food webs. So we will introduce with the food web, and finally we will see the significance of these food chain as well as food web. So let's begin with today's lecture. So today's first objective is introduction to the different terminologies which are related to food chain. So after completing today's lecture, the learner should be able to understand the basic terminologies related to the food chain. So the first terminology which we have already discussed in previous lecture as well, so we will go through that. So the first terminology is producer or autotrophs. So what is mean by producer or autotroph? So these are basically the organisms which can make their own food with the help of sunlight, and for this they require the chlorophyll pigment, water and carbon dioxide, and with using this they can make their food in the form of glucose, and that food is like a food for the entire ecosystem. So producers are in the form of different plants, so different plants and algae, they form the basic producers, and without autotrophs or the producers, life cannot exist on this planet Earth. Now the next terminology is heterotrophs or the consumers. Now these heterotrophs are those organisms which cannot make their own food, so they are dependent on the producers for their primary food requirements. So these are basically the herbivores and carnivores. Further, we can classify these carnivores into three categories, that is secondary consumers, tertiary consumers and quaternary consumers. Now all the animals which are present in this category, they are feeding onto the other animals. So they are the feeding onto the meat of the other animals, that's why we are calling them as carnivores. So the example of secondary consumers include all those animals which feed onto the herbivores. So for example, a deer is eaten by a wolf, so the wolf becomes the secondary consumer. Now this wolf can be eaten by another animal like tiger, so the tiger becomes the tertiary consumer. So this is one example. In other food chains you can have quaternary consumer as well. For example, a plant is eaten by a snail, so plant is producer, the snail becomes the primary consumers or herbivores. Now these snails are eaten by say frog, so the frog becomes the secondary consumer, and that frog is further eaten by say a rabbit, so it will become the tertiary consumer. And now this rabbit may be eaten by the predatory bird like eagle or hawk, so that hawk or eagle becomes the quaternary consumer. And the third category after the herbivores and carnivores is omnivores. So what are omnivores? They have the mixed diet, so they feed onto the plant material as well as on other animals. So they are herbivores as well as carnivores. Such animals are called as omnivores. So for example, wild boars or pigs, those are the example of the omnivorous animals. Now we come to the last terminology of today's discussion, that is decomposers. So what are decomposers? These are basically those organisms which break down the dead body of the other organisms. So they play a very important role by doing the recycling of the nutrients back to the ecosystem. So these includes fungi, bacteria and even algae. So they play a very important role by decaying the dead bodies of the organisms. So they serve a dual purpose. So they break down the dead bodies as well as return back the nutrients to the soil. Now let's start with the second objective of today's lecture, that is structure and types of food chain. So after completing this session, we will be able to understand the structure and types of the food chains. So let's begin with this. So let's first define a food chain. So what is meant by a food chain? So in this food chain, the transfer of energy takes place from the producers to the higher consumers. And we have seen that these consumers are nothing but the different herbivores to carnivores. So we can define a food chain as transfer of food energy from producers through a series of organisms, that is from herbivores to carnivores and from carnivores to decomposers, and during this process there is a eating of one animal by the another animal. This is known as a food chain. So all organisms, they may be living or dead, or they could be the potential food for the other organism. So we know that each organism is dependent on the another organism for its food requirements, and that gives rise to a concept that is called as a food chain. And this results into conservation of the energy of that particular ecosystem, and there is no wastage of the energy. So let's see some basic characteristics of food chain. So basically all the food chains are unidirectional. So what do you mean by unidirectional? That the energy, that is, we know that the universal source of energy is the sun. So all the energy that is coming from the sun is taken up by the plants and it is stored in the form of food. So plants do photosynthesis process and the food is stored in their cells. And now this stored form of energy is transferred to other herbivores. So herbivores are the first consumers which feed onto the plants and they will derive their energy. And at each stage, so each stage is called as a trophic level. Okay, and there are different trophic levels in an ecosystem. So in next lecture we will be dealing with these different trophic levels, the flow of energy at each trophic level. And during this transfer of energy, the energy will be decreased. So each trophic level will get little amount of energy from the previous trophic level. So this flow of energy is unidirectional, that is from producers to the consumers. So it is like producers, then herbivores, then the secondary consumers, then tertiary consumers, and finally the quaternary consumers. So the amount of energy which is produced by the producers goes on decreasing at each successive trophic level. So the organisms which are present in the producer level, those are called as a first trophic level. Then those are eaten by the herbivores. So the herbivores will form the second trophic level. Now these herbivores are further eaten by the carnivores. So the carnivores will form the third trophic level. So the large amount of energy is lost at each trophic level. It is said that only 10% of this energy is actually transferred from one trophic level to the next trophic level in a food chain. Now we come to the next part of today's discussion, that is types of food chain. So there are basically two types of food chain, that is grazing food chain and detritus food chain. So let's study each one by one. So the first type of food chain is called as a grazing food chain. So obviously the name suggests it starts always from the plants. So the plants which are the primary producers. So these producers make the food material from the sunlight in the form of glucose. And this food material is eaten up by the herbivores, which is the first trophic or rather second trophic level. And now these herbivores, they are eaten by the carnivores. So there is a successive flow of energy from the plants to herbivores and then to the carnivores. So during this process, the energy is transferred from the producers to the carnivores. So this is called as a grazing food chain, and this is dependent upon the autotrophic organisms. So these autotrophic organisms are nothing but the plants, and the energy which is captured by these plants from the sunlight is the main energy which is being transferred from producers to the ultimate consumers. So I have quoted few examples here. So the first example, grasses, which are, suppose example, it is eaten by the grasshopper. Now this grasshopper may be eaten by the lizard, and that lizard can be eaten by birds like hawk or eagle. So this is a simple type of a grassland grazing food chain. In water, you can have another type of a food chain. Say for example, in aquatic ecosystem, you have the producers in the form of phytoplanktons. So these phytoplanktons, they are eaten up by the zooplanktons, and these zooplanktons are further eaten up by the fish, and these smaller fishes can be eaten by larger fish, and this can be further eaten by the snake. So this is another type of grazing food chain. In this picture, you can see a typical grazing food chain. So the grasses, which are the producers, they may be eaten by grasshopper. Now this grasshopper can be eaten by a frog. So this frog is a secondary consumer. Now this frog can be eaten by tertiary consumer like snake, and this snake is eaten by the hawk, which is quaternary consumer. So this is a typical grazing food chain. Now we come to the second type of food chain, that is detritus food chain. So what is meant by detritus food, or detritus means the dead decaying matter. So these dead decaying matter can also be the food for some organisms, and those give rise to a second type of food chain that is called as detritus food chain. So it starts from the dead organic matter and it ends with the inorganic compound, because this dead organic matter is further processed into the smaller inorganic compounds. So detrivores are those group of organisms which feed exclusively on the dead bodies of the organism. So let's take one example of detritus food chain. So suppose there is leaf litter. That leaf litter can be eaten up by the algae. Now algae can be eaten up by the crabs. Crabs are eaten by the small fishes. These small fishes can be eaten by the larger fishes. So this is a typical detritus food chain where the primary producers are not plants, but it is the dead decaying matter. Similarly, we can say another such detritus food chain in forest also. So in forest ecosystem, whatever the dead organic matter present in the soil, that could form the food for the other animals. So the food chain starts from the dead organic matter. It is consumed by the fungi. So fungi will break down them, and further these fungi can be eaten up by the bacteria. So this is a typical forest detritus food ecosystem or food chain. In this next example, I have given a detritus food chain in a mangrove ecosystem. So in a mangrove ecosystem, whatever mangrove plants are there, their organic matter will be shedded periodically. Now that will be decomposed by the decomposers like bacteria and fungi, and that decomposed matter will be taken up as a food by the phytoplanktons. Now these phytoplanktons can be eaten up by the crabs. These crabs make the food for the smaller fishes. These smaller fishes will be eaten by larger fishes. These larger fishes can be eaten up by the birds. So this is an example of mangrove detritus food chain, where the food chain starts from the dead organic matter and not from the plant itself. So this is detritus food chain. In this picture, I have given another example of these different types of food chains. So here you can see a aquatic type of a food chain, and on the other side you can see a terrestrial type of food chain. So a terrestrial food chain is starting with plants. Those plants can be eaten up by the herbivores. Those herbivores makes food for the other animals like say rats and other animals. These rats may be eaten by the snake, and snake may be eaten up by the eagles. And on the other side you can see a picture where the phytoplanktons are the producers. So these phytoplanktons are eaten up by the smaller zooplanktons. The zooplanktons will be eaten by the fishes. The small fishes will be eaten by the larger fishes, and then you have a top consumers like the whales and other larger fishes. Now in this last slide we will compare the grazing food chain with a detritus food chain. So grazing food chain derive its energy from the sunlight. So basic source of energy for a grazing food chain is in the form of sun. So that sunlight is captured by the plant. So these plants are the producers. And on the other hand, detritus food chain starts from the dead decaying organic matter. So for a detritus food chain, the primary food source could be plant biomass, or it could be the microbial biomass, or it can be in the form of carnivores. But both these food chain occur together in a natural ecosystem. So in a nature you will find both grazing as well as detritus food chain. However, the grazing food chain predominate. That means the maximum number of food chain are the grazing type of food chain. Now we come to the final objective of today's session. In this, the learning objective would be to understand food web and its significance. So let's begin with what is meant by a food web. So let us understand what is meant by a food web. So in a nature, these food chain cannot be separately present, but all these food chains, they are interconnected and they form a complex network, and this complex network is called as a food web. So food web is a network of food chains. So many food chains, when they are interconnected with each other in a complex network like structure, then it is called as a food web. So in a food web, there are multiple food options for a particular organism. So in example, we will understand what is meant by these multiple options. So this food web is a more stable form of a structure than a food chain. In food chain, the organism is dependent on only one food source, whereas in food web there are multiple food sources available for any organism. So in a case, suppose one organism is depleted from an ecosystem, then the organism can feed onto some another organism for its food requirement. So it does not have to be dependent on only one food source, but there are multiple food sources available to that particular organism. So now since there are multiple food options which are available to particular organism, this increases the survival chances of that particular organism, because if one food is absent, it can switch to the another food. So if we understood the basic fundamental of a food web, there are multiple food chains are interconnected. So there are many organisms which are eaten by more than one organism. When one organism is eating more than other animals, then it is called as a food web. So food web basically describe how organisms derive energy from their environment or ecosystem. So we can represent a food web with the help of different pictures and different arrows. So in other way we can say that food web is bunch of food chains all together considered in a picture. So it describes a complex pattern of energy flow in an ecosystem. So how the energy is produced by the producers and it is being transferred to many consumers. So the plants being eaten by many herbivores, those herbivores can be further eaten by many carnivores. So let's understand a simple food chain with the help of this picture. In this picture, you can see the producer in the form of plants, and these plants are eaten by different herbivores. So the plant can be eaten by goat, or it can be eaten by rabbit, it can be eaten by mouse as well, right? So all these are the herbivores or the primary consumers. Now these primary consumers may be eaten by the secondary consumers. So this goat can be eaten by jackal as well as it can be eaten by wildcat. Also the mouse can be eaten by the jackal, wildcat or owl as well. Similarly the rabbit can be eaten. So all these form the secondary consumers. Now these secondary consumers can also be eaten by multiple tertiary or quaternary consumers. So jackal can be eaten by a lion, wildcat also can be eaten by a lion, and the owl can be eaten by larger kites or eagles, or it can also be eaten by snakes. By this we can understand that at each level there could be multiple sources of food. So here you can see there are multiple food chains which are interconnected with each other. So one food chain is like plant eaten by the goat is eaten by jackal, and jackal is eaten by the lion. So this is one food chain. You have second food chain like plant eaten by the mouse can be eaten by a rabbit could be eaten by wildcat, and that wildcat could be eaten by lion. So similarly the third food chain can be plant material eaten by mouse can be eaten by owl can be eaten by the reptile like snake, and snake can be eaten by the eagle. Okay, so three different food chains are interconnected with each other. So this is result into what is called as food web. In this picture I have tried to show a complex food web. So in the previous picture we have seen there are three food chains which are interconnected. Here you can see more than 6 food chains which are interlinked with each other. So the plant make the primary food available to different herbivores. So this second level we see different herbivores are present. Now these herbivores are eaten by the secondary consumers, which are the carnivorous animals, and these secondary consumers are eaten by the tertiary consumers. And at each level, every level animal will have a multiple source of food. So it is a very complex type of a food web where you have multiple food chains interlinked with each other. Now the question comes in our mind, why nature has evolved food webs instead of linear food chains? So this food chain give a better stability to the ecosystem, because if one of the species is extinct from the ecosystem, still the organism have other food source available, so it can survive. It does not happen that one species is extinct, so dependent species, the consumers will wiped out as well. In linear food chain, if one species become extinct, that will be affecting the higher species. So as number of options are available for the consumers, they can switch their food preference and they can sustain or survive. Let's understand this same with this grazing food chain. Suppose the grasses are eaten by the herbivores like grasshopper and frogs, and the snake is only dependent on grasshopper or frog as its food material, then it will be very difficult. Suppose this frog is extinct from the ecosystem, snake will not get any food and he will be deprived of food, so the snake will also be extinct from the ecosystem. Similarly the hawk, suppose it is dependent on only one species of snake for its food. Suppose this snake is extinct, obviously the hawk will not get food, so it will also become extinct from the ecosystem. So that's why instead of the food chain in ecosystem we always find food webs. Now let's come to the final point of today's discussion. What is the significance of these food chains as well as food webs? So they play a very significant role in the flow of energy as well as nutrient cycling. So how? Because the ultimate source of energy is sunlight produced from the sun. So that sunlight is captured by producers. The carnivores do not have ability to capture this sunlight and make their food. So these producers are eaten by the herbivores and herbivores are eaten by the consumers. So ultimately the energy is flowing from the sun to the producers, from producer to the consumers in a linear manner. as well as there is cycling of the nutrients. So we have seen the detritus type of food chain where we have seen the dead decaying matter forms the food source. So that dead decaying matter is eaten by the algae, fungi or bacteria, and that further goes into formation of inorganic nutrients. So nutrients are also cycled in an ecosystem. It is very important for maintaining the ecological balance and stability of ecosystem, because since multiple of food chains are linked with each other in the form of food web, even one of the species goes extinct, that does not affect all other species. So the balance of the ecosystem is maintained. And lastly, biological magnification of some chemicals can be observed in food chain as well as in food web. So what is mean by biological magnification? Let's take one example of DDT. So this DDT was used in agriculture in large amounts previously. Now it is banned. So that DDT, which was used for the agriculture, used to get accumulated because it was not getting broken down. So it was eaten by the herbivores. Now these herbivores are eaten by the carnivores, and ultimately this DDT from plants is getting accumulated into the carnivores. Now very drastically it has affected the population of larger birds like eagles and hawks. So since this DDT is getting accumulated in the plants, once these plants are eaten by herbivores, now herbivore do not eat one plant, it eats many plants. So large quantity of this DDT is going in the body of herbivore. Now these herbivores are eaten by the carnivores. So suppose this herbivore, for example a small rat, is eaten by the snake. So the snake is also eating many rats, so large quantity of DDT is accumulated in the body of snake. Now the eagle is eating the snake, so he may eat more than one snake. So again the concentration of DDT will increase in the body of the eagle or the hawk. Now when these eagle will lay eggs, these eggs will be having shell which is very fragile. So before the incubation time, those shell are breaking down, so that has resulted into decline of the population of bird. So this food chain and food web have a lot of significance in the maintenance and stability of ecosystem. Okay, I will be uploading an assignment for you on Google Classroom. So you have to answer these two questions: define and describe types of food chain and describe a food web in detail. Now let's summarize what we have studied in today's lecture. So we have got acquainted with different terminologies related to food chain and food web. Then we studied what is meant by food chain and what are the different types of food chain. Followed by we got introduced with food web. We have understood what is meant by food web and different examples of food web, how different food chains are connected with each other to form the food web. And finally we understood the significance of food chain and food web for the maintenance of ecosystem and its stability. Let's take a recap of next lecture. In next lecture we are going to study introduction to ecological pyramids, different types of these ecological pyramids, significance of these ecological pyramids, and finally we will understood the flow of energy in ecosystem. So with this we conclude today's lecture on food chain and food web. Thank you.